This is Ray.
This is Andy.
And this is First Down Sports Podcast.
Ray, we've talked about this a lot, but we got to come back to it. The call.
The call.
All right. Now, I thought it was one of the more blatant missed calls I've ever seen in my entire life, especially since there were two calls completely missed. I've watched the play over and over again. I've watched multiple photos of various angles showing where the officials' eyes were at the time, and I'm amazed that nothing was called. They were looking at it. I'm convinced a decision was made to not call it, which I think is nuts, and something has to be done about it. But first, from a referee's perspective, and he's not just wearing the uniform, folks. He is a referee. Tell me why you don't think it's quite as crazy of a missed call as I do.
Well, first of all, the Saints were lined up on the 13-yard line.
Yeah.
The line of scrimmage was a 13-yard line, and the pass ended up around the 6 to 7-yard line, Andy. Mm-hmm. And what a lot of people need to know is that each official on the prior to the snap of the ball has what's called a key, a responsibility, and they have to watch that key for the first 10 yards downfield on every play. Okay? So in this particular case, number 11, Tommy Lee Lewis, was lined up beside Drew Brees in the backfield. Mm-hmm. He came out of the backfield and flanked out to the sideline, and that's where the ball was going. The person that had responsibility on this play was the head linesman. Once that ball crosses the line of scrimmage, Andy, that head linesman's supposed to move towards the ball. He didn't get off the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. That's problem number one. You have to be in position to make the call. The other problem is the other two officials, the back judge and the field judge in the back center of the field, they also have responsibilities. And because this is, I don't want to use the word bang bang, but it's a very quick play, these guys have to watch their coverage and then catch the ball, see where it's going, and make a decision. It happened very fast on this play. Only 3 seconds. When you watch the time of the play, only 3 seconds came off the clock, Andy. That's a lot of moving pieces for an officiating crew to get right on this play. Okay? Robey, he starts up on the far side of the line and comes all the way across the field to make this play. Mm-hmm. Okay? When you watch it on film as an official, I will tell you that this would have been a much tougher call to make than when I initially saw it sitting on my couch.
Okay.
When I broke down the play, watching it as an official, it's not as bang bang as you think it would be.
Okay, or it's more bang bang than you think it would be, maybe, because regardless of whether or not it was an excusable, well, it's definitely not an excusable missed call, but regardless of whether or not it was a little easier to miss than the average fan would think it was, something clearly has to be done about a miss like that, especially two fouls on one play.
Yeah.
Something has to be done about a miss like that happening, especially in an NFC Championship game moving forward. Now, I know you have some thoughts on that as an official. You like to talk from time to time about the eighth referee, and we saw that in the CFL near the end of the season.
Which I did not like how they implemented.
All right, we'll talk about how you think the eighth referee could potentially help here.
I've gone back and forth in the last couple of days. Initially, I've always said that an eighth official, the supervisor of the crew, if you will, would sit up in the booth looking down on the field and would have a microphone to the head referee and let the head referee know on a play like this, you got to get together with your crew and have a conversation.
Sure.
So it's somebody up off the field, looking onto the field that only has communication with the head referee, the white hat, to have a conversation with his crew if there's something that referee felt they missed.
Okay.
But it had to be a blatant miss like this play.
So are you going back on those feelings now as something that might solve this problem?
My only concern about a referee is I don't want any more replay.
Okay.
There is a human element in sports. Mm-hmm. Whether it's hockey, baseball, football, whatever the case, there's a human element. I don't want to lose that human element.
Well, I don't either, Ray. I hate the idea of the eighth official, and I'll tell you why. Because immediately there's no longer a head referee. The eyes that are in the sky, the guy that has the ultimate advantage over every other referee or official down there on the field because he has the ability to watch replays in multiple angles, he suddenly becomes the boss. Right. He has the most respect, and everything that happens in that game, from a good call to a bad call to the outcome, is going to be on this guy, which takes away from the empowerment of the guys that are down there on the field. And I think if you empower them even less than they already are, that's only a bad thing. I think the solution to this is actually simple, Ray. You take baby steps towards a solution, okay? So one thing that drives me crazy right now is everybody equates making pass interference reviewable to you must now make every judgment call reviewable.
Right.
I don't agree with that whatsoever.
No.
Defensive pass interference is in a league of its own, Ray. Let's look at some of the other judgment calls really quickly. Offensive holding, right? Unless it's in the end zone, and let's not talk about that.
Every play.
It's
every play.
Sure, enough, but it's a 10-yard penalty. You replay the down.
Right.
Defensive holding, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. Okay?
Right.
Defensive pass interference is potentially a 70-yard play for the offense. It's crazy. It impacts the game more than absolutely anything else in terms of a call. Therefore, no problem. Keep 2 challenges for each coach, a third if you happen to get them both right, and simply make defensive pass interference a challengeable play. Whether it was called and you want to challenge that it was wrong, or it wasn't called and you want to point out to the play and say that was defensive pass interference, you have the same amount of challenges. Will it increase the number of average challenges that coaches use per game? Maybe, but not by a lot, and that will be more than worth it to eliminate plays like this that impact the outcome of a game from happening. I think it's a no-brainer. Try it out for one season, making only defensive pass interference a challengeable play, and that's either going to be totally fine, become the new norm, and maybe the NFL starts to think about some other judgment calls to make challengeable, or it's a disaster, the games last forever, and something I'm not thinking of occurs. But try it. You don't have to make all the judgment calls reviewable just because of this one. Defensive pass interference is special, Ray.
It is special, and it's a tough call. And I'm not saying, listen, the CFL, they have some rules that you can challenge. You can challenge anything.
Yeah.
I do agree that with pass interference, it's a big turn in American football versus Canadian football.
Yes.
Because in Canadian football, it's a maximum of a 15-yard penalty. So, yes, pass interference in American football, it's a big penalty. There is some special attention that needs to be given to this. But look, I don't want us to fall off the rails and completely change how games are played. I don't want to do that. And I also don't want to sit on my couch on a Sunday afternoon to catch a Buffalo Bills game with number 1 Josh Allen at quarterback. I don't want to be sitting to watch that game and take up 4 hours of my afternoon to watch a football game.
Yeah.
I want to see a game kick off at 1 o'clock and be done right around that 4 o'clock time frame, Andy.
And I think that's an overreaction to think that it's going to extend the games that much, or if at all. At the end of the day, the coaches are going to have to be a little bit smarter about when they challenge something. Today, they don't average using up even close to all of their challenges game to game. They're going to have this ability to challenge one more thing. And again, the number of times they can challenge it isn't increasing, Ray. Yeah. So I think that's a total overreaction. To me, this is a no-brainer. NFL, even just try it in the preseason to see what it does to the game. Add one more reviewable play. It's the big one. It's the defensive pass interference. Leave the rest alone, and let's just see what happens. But I've heard a lot of negative comments out there from fans, coaches, analysts like Boomer Esiason. I tell you what, wearing the stripes in any football game is not an easy job. It's a tough job. And if you want to sit and blow your horn from the stands, I challenge you. Come put on the stripes, step onto the field and see how tough it really is, because I want to know, would you blow the whistle? Would you throw the flag when all you hear as a football official is let them play? Let them play. That's my take, Andy. Look out, Boomer. All right, see you guys.